Shalom, my name is Michael Decker and I'm a lawyer within the law offices of Decker, Picks & Co. Today I wanted to discuss about the invitation of businessmen and experts into Israel. Our office represents leading international companies with huge turnovers and branches all over the world here in Israel, specifically with regards to the invitation of businessmen and foreign experts into Israel. Many of these international companies naturally want to have also a branch in Israel, which is a very developing country with a developed economy. Many of these companies therefore also need to invite businessmen and expert workers, and many of them also employ sometimes hundreds and maybe thousands of local Israeli workers, just as they do in other countries as well. Our office on a regular basis assisted many of these companies in inviting expert workers, and in order to do so, these companies had to meet various requirements. First of all, the worker had to prove qualifications, a degree, for example. He had to present a resume. The main requirement, the main condition probably is that this worker had to earn double the average wage of an Israeli, which can be around $6,000 and more a month. The company had to prove that it's insuring the workers. The company has to sign on many various declarations confirming that they will meet the labor law requirements of the state of Israel, and so on and so forth. So our office basically assisted many of these companies with the whole procedure of inviting such expert workers, either for a period of a year at a time or for short periods of 3 months and 45 days, and so on and so forth. In addition, it was always very important to distinguish between business visits and visits for the purpose of actually doing business. So, for example, sometimes a businessman from abroad might come to Israel in order to meet with an Israeli company because a deal hasn't been signed yet and they're waiting to close a deal. And once the deal is closed, then they will want to naturally bring workers. However, sometimes the boundary between the business visit and a working visit isn't so clear. For example, if an advisor comes to Israel in order to advise an Israeli company and is issuing an invoice and even a tax receipt from the company abroad for actual consulting services, but at the same time, this advisor is also trying to close a deal with an Israeli company, which can be a long-term deal, which will naturally include work on his part and his employees and maybe additional staff that he will need to employ if this deal closes, then even the business visit could easily be considered as a working visit because he's actually advising an Israeli company and actually working here on the ground and is even getting paid by the Israeli company. So the line in the border isn't always clear between a business visit and a visit for the purpose of doing actual business, and therefore it's very important to consult with a law firm that has experience here in order to prevent unfortunate, even embarrassing situations at the border where the border control could refuse the entry of a very important business visitor, which sometimes could even break a whole deal which could be very valuable for an Israeli company. In addition, now during the Corona, the whole issue of business visits and entry into Israel of expert workers has become even more complex because no one can visit Israel without a special approval. And today, it's definitely possible for businessmen that aren't Israeli and for expert workers to come to Israel. However, additional requirements are needed. For example, now also the Ministry of Health needs to approve the entry of a businessman from abroad and an expert worker. And our office also assists with this procedure as well. If you have any further questions, you can feel free to contact us. And if you need any legal advice on the matter, you can also feel free to contact us, and we'll be happy to assist. Thank you very much for your time.